Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the American Dream. Tonight we have two very exciting guests, two members of the Lynn City Council, Councilor At-Large Net and Councilor At-Large Brian LaPierre. Before we begin, I would just like to mention that the Daily Item is running a series called Am I a Bigot? And I highly recommend that you read the series, look at the back issues. You can probably look it up online. I think it's a very worthwhile series. So let's start. Councilor, you're the dean between the two of you.
I don't know about that.
So how long have you been on the council?
I've been in the council, this is going to be my 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah, I got elected in 2011.
Yeah. And how do you like it?
So far I like it because I have the chance to work with people directly, and a lot of people need help, so they come to me so I can implement right away, so which is it's a plus.
What kind of help do people need?
People need little things like get the street done, the sidewalk done, the trees done, looking for housing, jobs, or any information in the city, and so I was able to help them and to get things done. So that's a plus. Yeah.
What committees do you serve on?
I chair public park and public property committee, and also I chair the committee that pick up the site for voting. And yeah, I sit in the previous committees like Ways and Means. And
how many people are on Ways and Means?
Ways and Means, 5 so far.
5.
People in the
Five out of 11.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
Is it a powerful committee? The way
It's
it
a
is
very
in
powerful
Congress?
committee, and the mayor always there with us, and so anything going on in terms of the budget, so we learn from there right away. So the mayor's always inform us what's coming next, and CFO also with us, and the controller with us. So it's very, very important committee I'm sitting in right now.
Okay.
So,
We'll get back to that.
yeah.
Brian, what about you?
My first term, I'm just midway through my first term. I got elected in 2015 and enjoy serving with Councilor Net here. And so for committee-wise on the council President Sear appointed me to this new committee. It's a budget committee. So while Ways and Means takes a look at the appropriations and the monies that are going, in and out, we're looking more at forecasting what the budget is going to look like for the upcoming fiscal year 18. And we're trying to put in steps now. It's myself, Council Walsh, Council Capano, Council Lozzi serve on that committee. What we're trying to do is be a step ahead of what is to come and work with the mayor this spring before her budget comes to us to try and head off and be creative in what some are forecasting as a tough budget road. So we're trying to be very communicative. We work closely, as Councilor Net said, with Peter Karen, who's the CFO, with Comptroller Steve Spencer.
I had him on the show a couple of decades ago.
Wow.
I used to on the show. Yeah,
wow.
He did a good job.
Yeah. So we had our first meeting last night, and so we want to, and there's going to be a presentation April 11th in front of the council and the chamber committee of the whole that really reviews what's happening with the budget and different things that we'd like to see. And we're going to invite the mayor to the council in late April to just be ahead of this budget.
So fiscal
process.
year 18 starts July 1st, 2017.
Correct,
Is that right? Yeah.
correct.
Okay. And it runs until June 30th, 2018.
That's right.
Okay. So
Well, that's one committee, and then I'm on the personnel committee. I chair that, and then I serve with Councilor Net as well on the education committee, the polling location committee, where we changed the vote from English High to the new Marshall a couple cycles ago for the presidential, and most recently, and then the KIPP Academy up in the Highlands,
how's that working?
going from the Lynn Museum.
How's the Marshall School working out?
Good. Haven't had any real. People love it. People love going to vote there. There's plenty of parking. I was down there last week. It really seemed to be working well.
Great looking school.
Yeah, all 4 precincts vote there. It's a great place.
Beautiful facility. People enjoy be there. That's important.
Yeah. Which precincts vote there?
Ward 3 precincts 1 through 4. The whole ward is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Lynn English is still open?
English, no. Right now, St. Pius is Ward 2, so English does not have voting at this time.
Okay.
The reason why we wanted to move it into the ward where Ward 3, the Marshall is located in Ward 3, it made sense to shift it from English in Ward
Right,
2
right.
to the Ward 3 site.
And plenty of,
Precinct 1 and 2 go to Cape Economy, and Precinct 3 and 4 still go to museum.
how's Kip Academy working out?
It's working pretty well, but they still feel that it should be all would go. I mean, all precincts should go there because it's still low turnout, and they're working very hard. The
That's
Highland
because they've
Code is
moved
working.
around a little bit, right? They,
Right, yes.
they had to move out of Ford School.
Yeah,
That's
years
correct,
ago,
yes.
Ford
Years
School,
ago, right,
handicap
yeah.
requirements, and then we finally got voting restored to the Highlands last year, and then, as Honk said, it's just been, the turnout was very low, even the last
It
special
has
election.
been for several
Extremely
years.
low, so,
Up there.
sure, sure.
And that's the voters' fault.
Yeah, they know
They
where to
can
vote,
blame
they
the
have to
city,
get there, they have
it's
to
the
get
voters'
there.
fault.
Yeah,
Just
really
get
have
out,
to
go
make an
vote.
effort,
Yeah.
make that,
They-
take
they
that 1
wanted,
minute.
Yeah, they wanted the Highlands, so we got a place for them.
Right.
And so now we have to work with people in the Highlands to make sure they go out to vote.
Voter
Right.
education
Yeah.
piece and
I
bringing
just
them out
spoke
to
with
vote.
David Gass about that also, and so
Yeah, David, if you're listening,
That's
it's,
right.
get the
Yeah.
voters out. It's not the city's fault.
Important, it's important,
Yeah.
every election.
So what do you think about the budget? You really don't have, we're trying to educate the public here.
Sure.
The council doesn't have any authority over the budget. Is that fair to say?
I think it's fair to say that we have some influence, but not authority. So I think the mayor presents her budget to us, I want to say maybe May, early June. We're going to put in steps now to try and work with her along those lines. She's already called for some, some things to be in place in terms of departments and have to carve back and things like that, make percentage cuts. But we can't really add anything to the current budget. We can only subtract from the
Right.
budget.
Right.
So we can make some cuts or recommendations, but
we are
we
very
kind of
limited.
approve it, yeah.
Very
approve
limited
it.
authority over the
Right,
budgets.
right.
Yeah.
But
And that's why.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's why we have the mayor and the CFO with us on the Ways and Means committees meeting, so that we can be informed, so that we can make recommendations.
And you inform them.
And we inform them, and especially they inform us, so we can work with them.
On the new committee that you're on, are you trying to set priorities and give them to the mayor before she presents her budget?
Yeah, well, we're working with Peter Karen. I think it's been more brainstorming and what we might come up with to help her in terms of managing the budget. We know that we're not taking in as much and the expenses are high, so we have a few things that we'd like to see in terms of like maybe bring in more revenue. We dealt with medical marijuana, for example, and now there's a question about negotiating that host agreement, what that is going to yield for money, if that's going to be within fiscal 18's budget parameters. So there's a lot of like moving targets,
What
but
do you expect from medical marijuana?
so we cited 2 locations, one on the Linway and one on 107, and now the mayor has to negotiate with those folks who were awarded the contract to get a host agreement, which would be anywhere from 4% to 6% of some of the total gross. Now, it will build up over time, so you might think of hundreds of thousands of dollars early on, but eventually, with 4 or 5 years down the road, if it's successful, we could be talking about $1 million or $2 in local aid, that comes our way.
Yeah, we also try to sell properties. We have a lot of abandoned properties, and also the city-owned properties.
Okay.
We try to put on 2 bids. So I'm working on it right now with President Sears and with Attorney Jim Lamana. So next meeting we should be able to.
So they're trying to do that so the revenue goes into the fiscal 18 budget?
Absolutely, yeah.
that's
so,
good.
Yeah. So we have a lot of.
Because there's a
properties
big
being sold.
need.
It is a big need, and
Yeah.
worth millions of dollars. That's right out there.
The
We
property.
there's properties, and
Yeah.
we need to bring that money in.
So
yeah.
you advertise it through the property committee and then
Yes, we
gets-
will do that.
then people
yeah.
bid on it?
Correct. Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. That's what we plan to do that next meeting.
How many pieces of property, do you know?
Of at least 10, 15 piece of properties out there, and those worth a lot of money. You know,
Yeah.
start from $100,000 up.
Wow.
Sure.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So it's
Get
over
them
$1
out from
million?
under the
Yeah,
city
that's
and move
right.
them onto the taxpayer
Correct.
rolls. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
good.
Okay,
Create new revenue.
That's,
so that's good. So that's 2 sources of revenue, new
yes.
revenue.
That's correct. Yeah.
You don't want to increase taxes, I take
No,
it.
no, no. We try not to. That's not very
People are very
popular.
sensitive, sensitive to
Well,
That's right.
no
apply to the
no
recent
doubt
vote.
about it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people live
Taxes are on
under
everyone's
fixed
mind,
income
so.
here, so we can.
Got to keep
Right.
them affordable, keep the services in play, but you don't want to sit there and start raising taxes for sure. As you recall, maybe last year, the residential tax base went down the rate, 20, 30 cents. But what happened was our values increased so much that it ended up being an increase in what people saw in their tax bills. But the
Which is
actual
what counts
residential,
with
right?
people,
What
yeah.
what counts
Yeah,
when
you
they
can you can call it
get that
whatever
tax bill
rate
in the
you
mail?
want, but.
Right, right.
So, do you have any other ideas for revenue besides those two?
Well,
I'd like to see if we have more function halls in the city, because it hurts when I see
More what?
function halls,
Okay.
because a lot of people go
Oh,
to
absolutely.
Low or go to somewhere else to celebrate
Get a
their
hotel
weddings.
here.
And
Get a
yeah, that's
hotel.
what we want. That's I see that
Yeah.
a lot of money goes out this
No doubt about
city,
it.
and we want
And
that
people
money here.
who from Lynn, who are in Danvers or someplace else, they're not really crazy about it for Lynn function,
Yeah,
I know how it
Yeah,
works.
but think
no,
about it, it's very
absolutely,
important because
absolutely. Well, building off the Lynn Auditorium and places like that, the new restaurants that are opening. I mean, there's the Pie and Pint restaurant on Central Ave is going to open with a nice coffee shop
Right.
this spring. The Market Basket slated to open this summer. You have another new restaurant. We call it the old Mildred's, or the old Coffee Inn.
Right.
Vincent's Clip Joint on Lewis Street in our day. That'll be District 45 because it's located on 45 Lewis
That's
Street.
right.
A real upscale, nice restaurant,
Yeah, I heard
tavern
about- I
place
heard
that's going to
about that.
open. I think in May they're scheduled to open. So there's some newer opportunities for revenue, but we still have to build up that Linway. I think that's
Well,
where we're
how do you
heading
get revenue from a new restaurant? How does
Well,
the city get revenue?
Well, I think it's well, there again, I think we might have to look at different. So they open up and they're modernizing and they're paying a little more because they're paying more commercial on the tax base. But more importantly, I think you got to look at every factor, like whether it's going to be a local meals tax option, that other communities have adopted for many years now that we have yet to do. So there are some ways in which you can sort of increase revenue by bringing in new business. And that would be one of them, the gear plant, for example. We've done the Beacon Chevrolet site. We have all these things sort of percolating, and now we need to see them come to fruition over
Right.
the next couple of years.
Okay,
So,
any other revenue ideas?
so beyond that, and I think just continue to build up the auditorium. I still think that that's another untarnished sort of, it's a jewel, a hidden jewel.
It's a great project.
And I think, when we look around the downtown area, I mentioned to you, I think that Beyond the Walls is a nice promotion going on right now to light up that downtown.
Explain Beyond the
So
Walls.
Beyond Walls is a concept that, working with Mass Development, it's going to launch on April 6th. It's already up, and they're raising money for it. What it will do is install state-of-the-art LED lighting throughout the downtown area, underneath the commuter rail overpass on Mount Vernon and into Central Square, be all bright lights. Red, purple, green, blue, and then down on Washington Street corridor where the Lynn Museum is and the Capitol Diner, neon signage and murals will be on like Monroe Street and part of Union Street. So more dress it up, make it more attractive, because it is an arts and cultural business district downtown, and raise the money for it. So if we raise $50,000, the state will come in and Mass Development will match that with an additional $50,000. So now you have $100,000 to try and put together. It makes it safer, more attractive. People will more likely shop at night, come out to restaurants at night, and it really creating a buzz downtown is really what the goal's been since you've been on.
I also like to see call a restaurant month, maybe once a year in the summer, and we close down the Market Street, and just invite all the restaurants to come and give and sample food, and I'm sure we'll attract
Right on
a
the
lot.
street, right on the sidewalks?
Right, we'll
Yeah,
attract a
great
lot of people
idea.
to come to taste the Lynn, and so we do that at the Common once a year, and then April for the Cambodian New Year, we do
Right.
that, so attract thousands of people, 5,000 or 6,000 people every year, but it's not enough food vendors, so we need more of that. So I want to do not just the Asian, it's just everybody would
Right.
have the chance to come to Lynn and set up tables, set up tents, whatever.
Right.
Just like the beach, where the Hampton Beach is like that.
Yes.
So I don't know, I think that's another
And we
idea
made
to
it
bring
easier
up,
for
right.
folks to do that because we created the food trucks permit through the ordinance committee, and food trucks are now able to operate throughout the city on private property, and you can have them down in Mount Vernon Street, I know, for one, in the Central Square area. I know Bentwater Brewery on the Linway was interested in having food trucks come so that they're serving food. They become more community oriented.
That's right.
You know, when people have food and drink and beverage and the camaraderie, it really lends itself to being a nice feature.
Yeah, and Lowell does very successfully too. They do that once a year. They have a fair, you know. So we need something like that as well. And people talk to me, said, why don't we do something like that? And they will come, and they will visit Lynn, and they will spend money in our city. And all the restaurants, we have so many different kind of food in our city.
Yeah.
And probably it's the chance for them to get to know us more.
Diversity is its strength.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
For sure.
We are very fortunate, and I'm proud.
Have more events.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So tell me how the committee system, well, wait a minute, let's stay with the budget for a minute. What about the flip side of this? Do you anticipate any cuts? I mean, is there anything that,
Well, it's a little early to tell, but I know that the departments are bracing for some cuts within the departments. Depends on the average of what the departments run on. There are some departments that really you can't cut. It's public
Right.
safety for one, but we're trying to be creative. Again, some of the ideas that are floating around is trying not to make sure we try our very best not to have layoffs, and I think that's that's the ultimate,
Not a
because
good
when you
thing.
lay someone off, you're also economically it doesn't make much sense because you're paying unemployment costs, and you got to, maybe a retirement and early incentive to retire if people are there at that stage in their career, perhaps, having them work but with interrupted perhaps furlough days during the course that they can plan throughout the year to make those necessary cuts. I remember when I was a teacher, we had to do that in some tough budgetary constraints, and teachers were asked to take a day without pay and things like that. And you could do it if you have enough time and it's budgeted and it doesn't hurt people, or hurt the services they provide in City Hall and so forth. So there's only a limited amount of resources, and we're
Right.
struggling with that.
Right.
So everything's on the
So,
table.
I've been on furlough days as well for the state, so
Sure.
we can do that. And I know Peter Karen talked about it last night, and so he will present to us in a more detail, so how he planned with make sure we don't lay off anyone.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good
Yeah.
goal.
I mean, we are operating with a deficit, and we got to really try. She has
Is
some
it
percent to
$8
balance.
million?
I think it's around $8 million, and then I think we're carrying over more of a structural deficit, was what Mr. Karen was saying, of around $4 million. So it might be new monies of $4 million in the rears for FY18, but we're carrying over a large amount of debt due to net school spending obligations still, which is the money we have to pay to the school department for maintenance of effort by the state. So we're trying to make good on those payments, and it's so around $8 million, I believe, is what that number looks like.
That's
what's
he said.
recorded.
Yeah.
So good luck with that.
Thank you. Thank
We
you.
try. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about the committee system. You're on how many committees?
I'm on 9 committees.
9 committees.
Right.
Do they all meet on a regular basis?
Pretty much, it's almost every time we meet. So always, as all my committees I sit on, always have meeting.
Like
Yeah,
some,
so-
like the polling ones. And now we've settled that. That was an ad hoc committee. It was temporary. We did
Yeah.
that issue, and then that goes away. But things like the budget, or like Council Net, that Ways and Means, or the public property, or even the license and public safety committee, those things don't go away. Education's been an issue with Wayne. Council Losey's the chair of the education committee. I serve with him there. Ordinance.
Yeah.
They meet on Tuesday nights
So
regularly.
the polling issue.
Yeah, the polling
You say it's
places.
put to bed.
Yeah.
So permanently, 2 precincts in Ward 4 are going to vote at the KIPP Academy, and 2
Right.
precincts are going to vote at the museum.
Exactly.
That's a done deal.
Yeah, 4344 down at the Lynn Museum. They've accommodated us, and 4142 up at the KIPP.
Good.
Yeah, yeah, I think that works out pretty well. I think we have 11 polling places now
Yes, we do.
citywide.
Right.
Back in the day, we used to have 20, 25, I think, so one for every precinct.
Do you
I thought.
know, back in
Wow.
the day,
Seemed.
there were,
You
there were
remember that?
So many.
48 precincts.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
In the city of Lynn.
yeah,
Wow. Well, we're down to 28, so,
yeah.
and we got about 11 places for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But every Tuesday, people think like you're a city councilor, and I'm challenged or struggling with the fact that I'm serving, and you know how you run for office, how you have a lot more time to campaign. But now, when you're doing the job, it isn't just like Tuesday night. You show up around 5 and you leave at 9 or 10. It becomes sort of like no days off. I hate to use the
So
coinage.
explain what those days.
So the day-to-day
told us a
work,
little bit
right?
about
The
what it is.
day-to-day work is that we get in. This is the real formal business end of it, is like in subcommittee
Yeah,
work, and
right.
you're having all these meetings from 5 o'clock into the night, and they're usually about a half hour in length. And you know, you have budget, then you have ordinance, you have license and public property and ways and means and public safety.
When you say
so that could
subcommittee,
take us into the night.
Is that
you know,
a part of a committee or a subcommittee of the council?
that's a subcommittee of the council
Okay.
that we're on, that we serve on. And then you have the full formal council at 8 p.m. that a lot of the votes were taken in subcommittee come out to the council floor, and we start debating the issues.
And the subcommittee makes a recommendation to the full council?
That's
That's
correct.
correct, yes.
That's
So
correct.
that's what we prepare ahead, so that way we can bring to the table, the full council, so we can take a vote on this.
How does that usually go? Is it usually adopted, whatever the committee recommendation is?
Most of the time, yeah.
Sometimes
yeah,
there's been
yeah.
debates and struggles.
That's
and
right.
close
Very few
votes.
times that, close vote, but most of the time it goes pretty well. And
See, we'll get our packet on a given Friday, and that's where we can read over the weekend what's going to come up on a Tuesday night. So we'll get our packets,
Right.
and then we'll study and read up on it and have all weekend, and then Tuesday night we'll come to the vote every other Tuesday normally, twice a month we meet. And then the rest of the week, though, you're dealing with a lot of the concerns.
Yes.
Like Han was saying, when constituent concerns, or
What do you deal
during a
with?
storm,
What
or...
do you deal with?
So I deal with a litany of things. So I'm very accessible. I built my campaign around like social media and Facebook. So I get messaged all the time on a regular daily basis from a bunch of folks beyond my council email or picking up the phone. So they can text me, or they find me on Facebook or Twitter. And I think you have to respond to, you know, the trash barrel that wasn't collected on a given Monday, you know, so you work closely with the departments to ensure that folks are being responsive, and that you're responsive to them. So we rely heavily on Andy Hall at the DPW and Lisa Nerrick, you know, or if it's an issue of economic development, it's Jim Cowdell or Bill Bachnack. So we kind of know where to send people or steer people if it's an issue that's beyond us.
Right.
And then, but we try and get involved with the nitty-gritty and the sort of quality of life issues too that take place.
And we also sit on a lot of other like organizations on board.
Yeah,
so
you serve, right.
Yeah, I joined.
You mean
those,
nonprofit organizations?
Right.
Yeah,
So
good
I
for
sit
you.
on the YMCA, LISO.
Right. Stop the violence.
That's
Lynn.
right, and North Shore Labor Council,
Sure.
the KCPC. So I've been on a number of boards. So it's very busy. It takes a lot of time, but meet almost every night, to be honest.
Lynn
Almost every
Museum,
night.
Friends on Lynn and a Half Beach, the
and
Highland
also-
Coalition. Yeah, we're
also
active.
other events we have to attend because they want to see us, because we want to know what's going on, and so people like to see us so they can bring the issues to us and give us advice, ideas, so we can learn from them a lot too. So it's very busy. It's not just go to the meeting twice a month.
I didn't think it was.
Oh, it doesn't
Yeah.
work that way now.
I'd also
It's
say
always
that we have
constantly
a
out there.
wonderful staff, and
That's
Terry
right.
and Lisa are at the
Yes.
council office, so they're our secretary and assistant that's able to sort of get back to folks and give us messages so that we can be involved in a constituent concern or what have you. But they do real great work for the council, and Terry Young and Lisa Herrera, so it's really great.
So you say you get communication from people on these various boards. It gives you a chance to communicate with them also, does it not?
Yes, absolutely.
About what your priorities are,
What
what's
are-
going on at the council?
Right, and
Do you have constituent meetings in addition to that, either one of you?
Yeah, I've held several. I try to work as Councilor At-Large, as we try and work with the ward councilor
Yeah.
and set up a given ward meeting, because we represent everyone across the city. So I've teamed up with Councilor Lozzi, for example, and we've had I remember we went up to Meadow Court with the seniors. They were having a few issues, and we talked to the seniors with Councilor Lozzi and myself, and we were able to address some of their concerns and things like that. So I'm out there regularly in the neighborhoods and
Yeah.
always seeking, what people...
I do that as well because it's a lot of people who new come to this country. They call the new Americans, and also different organizations. So I go to speak to them, and I give them information what the city can do in terms of open businesses, in terms of housing, in terms of any information that they need to know about the city. So I always there and give information and help them out. So I do that a lot. So I enjoy it, to be honest. Meet different people and hear the ideas and learn. We learn a lot, to be honest. We learn a lot from them because they come to this country with new ideas, with new perspectives, and so there's a lot of things that we don't know. So it's rewarding. I think it's very rewarding. Yeah.
You're writing one of those articles for
I am writing
for the item.
Yes.
And how's that going?
I don't know. I did my best. Very
I'm sure
long.
you did.
though.
I'm sure you did. It's long.
It's pretty long, and I don't, maybe it's coming tomorrow. I'm not sure, so I need to find out. And I said, I think it's probably tomorrow.
Well, because I'm writing one also.
Oh, that's good.
And,
So-
yeah, and I believe strongly that diversity is a strength. And as
That's
I was
right, that's right.
thinking about, I'm a history buff. and
Right. It's
political
not
buff.
easy, but it's kind of difficult, you know.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm a Beckett, so what does that mean, you know? So it took me for a long
At the
time to
outset,
think.
I say I am, and then that's all I do. with
That's
that.
right. So I'm not a Beckett.
It's been a very
So
provocative
it's
Oh, yeah,
series,
right,
and
it
I think
is.
I
Yeah.
give credit to the item for,
Oh, me too. Me
and
too.
for
The
pushing that
editorial
ball a
board is
bit
doing
and
great job.
introspectively, you know,
Yeah.
look at yourself and the community.
But to go back to diversity, so I was giving some thought to it, and I thought, if I talked about women didn't get the right to vote until 1920, and African Americans didn't get the right to vote until after the Civil War, and actually until 100 years later, the 1965 Voting Rights Act. So we could have had Abigail Adams as a political leader in 1800, except she couldn't vote.
What a missed opportunity,
Right.
right?
Right.
But how many other missed opportunities
Exactly,
were there?
the ones you don't know of.
And it goes on and on.
Yeah.
Same, you know, we had African Americans from Lynn who went to the White House and met with Lincoln. So I think we're going to have to wrap this up in a minute. So
it
do you
went
have
by
anything?
fast, huh?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. So thank you very much for coming on. Do you have anything you want to add?
I just want to thank you so much for having me on the show, and I'm very honored to be here and honored to be with my colleague and my good friend Brian LaPierre, and we do our best to serve our city, serve our residents, and we are happy. And Lynn is my home.
And I want to thank you
Yes,
very much for coming on the show. Do you have any?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm really thrilled to be on your show, Jim, The American
Yeah.
Dream. It's been great, and I know we're wrapping up, so I want to thank the counselor. And, you know, we've got a lot of things going on, and we hope to be successful in those. And we work very well as a council, as a team, and we're going to keep doing that. Work with the mayor to try and get this thing straightened out by the way of budget. And we look forward to the summer and fall and doing great things in the city of Lynn.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Good night, everybody. So we keep talking. They like us to keep talking.